Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. Time for Coronalogue Part 2. So, in case you have not watched the first part, I'd recommend go and watch the first part where I shared a few views that I had in regards to the pandemic that we are all facing across the world. So, this is going to be a continuation of a few points and thoughts that I had shared about the lockdown or the response of the government, etc., etc., etc. So today is a continuation. I think I want to speak a little bit about the societal ramifications, cultural relativism, and moral issues that have come out of this monologue. As of now, I'm going to use specific examples, especially when it comes to the cultural relativism and the moral issues that are there. As always, I'm going to read your comments later on and I'll interact with all of you once I'm done. You guys know the drill. If you're new, then I tend to speak first without reading the comments for the first 30 minutes, or depends on how long I speak, because I don't prepare. I speak on the top of my head, but I keep a track of the time and I try to finish it off in 30 minutes. And then afterwards, I'll see your comments, your questions, your super chats, all of them. And all right, let's go for it. So first topic, societal ramifications. Now, what do I mean when I say societal ramifications when it comes to the coronavirus? This is going to be the most fascinating area, if you ask me. And when I say fascinating, in what sense? I mean, I'm talking about the behavioral patterns of people across the world. What are the social consequences that we are going to be facing after the coronavirus? When I say social consequences, you might say, in what field? So it could be politically, it could be economically, it could be socially, it could be at an individual nature, or it could be at the level of the cumulative group that we are. So let us break this down. Now, at an individual level, what are the societal ramifications? Well, I think if we look at purely from a point of view of our expenses, so we've all realized that when it comes to expenses, our expenses have fallen down quite a bit. Now, while they have fallen down quite a bit, what is the realization that we've had? The realization that we've had is that actually, how little do we need to live? Now, yeah, we know how little do we need to live, but the point is that it also gives us the other side of life, that this entire show that we have running, this entire economy that we have, this entire machine that keeps on going, is actually built on fictions in the form of products that we consume that we really don't need. So if we don't believe in these fictions, and if we stop consuming them, this 7 billion people story that we've created across the world, what happens to that? What are the economic consequences of that? What would happen to, let's say clothes. Now we need clothes, but how many clothes do we need? Do we need 20 shirts every year? Do we need trousers every year? Do we need so many Punjabi suits or whatever, your religious saris every year? Do we need that? But we consume that. Or do we need cell phones? You see what I'm trying to say? But if we don't do all of that, and we go back to our minimalism, depending, and I know minimalism can be different for different people in different financial classes, but I mean, the irony of the situation is even a Mukesh Ambani or a person like me is living their own minimalist lifestyle at that particular relativist level, because you just can't go outside the house. So what happens? So now a lot of people are going to get used to this. Everybody is going to be realizing that, heck, I don't need so much money to live my life. If I get my internet, if I have my stream of this, I'm okay. So the biggest challenge and the societal ramification that we're going to face after this is, how do we rejig this thing back to, standard operating procedure, where things go normal, maybe 3-4 months down the line, we go normal. And then we have to rewire kind of people, because now we have wired people to stay at home, be minimalists. Now, once this ends, we're supposed to rewire people to become fiction believers again. they will have to believe in those fictions again. They will have to buy into the idea of consumerism. So that, I think, is going to be very interesting. Now, let us talk about the aspect which I said was the interconnected nature of everything. Now, here I want to talk about the social ramifications in a different sense. Now, we all know what's happening across the country. And I'm going to bring in the Tablighi Jamaat, because I'm going to use the Tablighi Jamaat example to talk about the societal ramifications. Then I'm going to use the Tablighi Jamaat to talk about the cultural relativism. Then I'm going to use the Tablighi Jamaat to talk about the moral issues. So it's a three-pronged way. So now let us look at what's happened. So in case you're wondering what's happened with the Tablighi Jamaat, and you don't follow Indian politics, I'm assuming all of you are aware of it, but still, so there was this religious event that started in early March in Delhi, and it was going on, and then the lockdown hit, and nobody was, shutting them down or transferring them, and then all shit hit the roof, and they've gone all across the parts of the country. Many have hidden from the cops. Many have not come out in the open. Then when they were called, there are incidences of them spitting on the doctors. Then there are incidences of them demanding X. When they are not given X, they create a ruckus. They've been accused. There have been accusations from health workers, especially nurses, that they've been, obscenities with them, etc., etc., etc. So now, what happens in such a scenario? What do we do? What are the societal ramifications? Now, when we see the Tablighi Jamaat behaving in a certain way, and when we see no condemnation of the Tablighi Jamaat from a certain section of our society, aka the progressives, it has serious ramifications on our social fabric. And that is my biggest worry. Here's the problem. There is a clear anti-Muslim bigoted wing inside what I call the Twitter Hindutva movement. It showcases itself on a daily basis. The more the left progressive side tries to hide the deeds of the Tablighi Jamaat, the more fuel they give to the other side to say, look what they're doing. This is what their intention is. They want to protect them. They don't even want to call out the obvious wrongs. While they keep doing this, social ramifications that come out of this are that our social fiber, look, whatever it is, we have Muslims, as per official figures, people can say they're not that, but let's say they're in the range of 14 to 17% of our population. These people are not going anywhere. They are legitimate citizens of India. They have all the rights and privileges that any citizen has. Having said that, if there is a section, and it doesn't matter which religion they belong to, if there is a section within our society that is misbehaving, where they spit on people, where they, make obscene remarks or obscene gestures towards women, we have to criticize them. If the cops go to check someone, and if you're going to throw stones at them, you're going to be criticized. And if you don't criticize them, the dangerous reaction is you give the extreme element on the other side the chance to hijack the issue, the chance to take that issue and generalize, the chance to take that issue and basically destroy the social fabric of this country. So to me, that is the worry. The societal ramifications of this on our social fabric are going to be very serious. Look, we all know, we've already had these discussions on social media where there are talks about economic boycotts and stuff like that. Now, I don't know how much this can be sustained in the long run. I genuinely believe that after a while, capitalism always trumps. But the point isn't that. The point is that the refusal of the left progressives to criticize the Tablighi Jamaat in unequivocal terms can have permanent damages. Having said that, we also have to point out to the blatant anti-Muslim bigotry in the non-left. There is a section in the non-left, especially on social media, that is just downright bigoted. You cannot generalize all Muslims. You just don't know who's doing it. So that is my worry as far as the societal ramifications are concerned. Now, let's talk about cultural relativism. So what do I mean by cultural relativism? So cultural relativism is the idea that all cultures are not good or bad. They are different. So there is no such thing as a good culture or a bad culture. Everybody has their own context and their own sets of realities. So we should not call any culture good or bad. There is no such thing as that. Everything is kosher, everything is fine. Now that's a very problematic thing, because if all cultures are equally good or equally bad, then are we trying to say that the Tablighi Jamaat and their behavioral patterns are equally good? Are we trying to say that the behavior of the majority of people in this country, including the decent Muslims who have been following the law and following the norms of the lockdown, are as good as the Tablighi Jamaat? This is a serious issue. We cannot say all cultures are equal. Some cultures are bad, and those cultures need to be called out. Those behavioral patterns need to be criticized. Those people following those behavioral patterns have to be shown their place. We need to categorically state that this is the behavioral pattern A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Here is the evidence. And as per the norms of decency, which are objective, these are not subjective, these are objective moral standards, this will not go. If we are going to hide under the garb that, oh, this will lead to anti-Muslim bigotry, oh, well, it is leading to it anyways. The least we can do is not be cultural relativists, not be moral relativists. Do not hide under the garb of, oh, it's not all Muslims. Well, obviously it's not all Muslims. But if we are not going to criticize bad ideas, and this applies equally to bad ideas within the Hindu sphere, within the Christian sphere, within the Jewish sphere, within the atheistic sphere, I don't care. If you propose a set of ideas that are harmful, and that harm can be easily and quantitatively stated, then you should speak about it. And if a person believes that, you know what, it's just all subjective, it doesn't matter, well, that person is a relativist, and that relativist is a harmful person. And we should always fight against such cultural relativism. And that is the reason I have been criticizing the Tablighi Jamaat from day one. The Tablighi Jamaat, on an objective moral standard, is bad. How can someone say there is no objectivity in this? Is spitting when you have an infection on people an objective good? It is a clear-cut objective bad. Is throwing stones on people when the person entering in your locality is coming to cure you, to help you, to make you okay because you're suffering from a virus? Is that an objective good or an objective bad? Any sane person will say that is an objective good. There is no ambiguity in this. There is no scope for disagreement here. So anybody who says that, oh, it's complicated, there is nuance, there is no nuance here. Would you, the person defending the Tablighi Jamaat, be talking about nuance if this was, let's say, a Hindu group or a Jain group or a Sikh group? No, you would not. You would be talking about objective standards. Look at what they have done. Look at what they've done here. Look at what they've done there. And you would be stating objective standard examples and criticizing them. That's all we expect when you discuss the Tablighi Jamaat. It does not indirectly lead to all Muslims. The all Muslim argument is a flawed argument. And anybody who gives the all Muslim argument is a nut job. We have to distinguish between certain groups and individuals within those groups doing bad things and the entire group itself. As far as the Tablighi Jamaat's behavior is concerned, it's not just in India. They have been a super spreader in Malaysia, and they have been a super spreader in Pakistan. So why can't we call it as they are? So that's the aspect of the cultural relativism. Now I want to go into the moral issues. Now this is something that has been troubling me for a while. So we see these cases again, the Tablighi Jamaat. I mean, I have to say the boys have played very well here. So you go there and they throw stones at you. Why? Because they don't want to be treated. Now here's the thing. And I was looking at the situation and trying to think about it. And I was like, well, hang on. This is a moral conundrum. that if somebody wants to be treated or doesn't want to be treated, let's say, I'll give you a hypothetical scenario. I think it happened during one of the Nordic nations during this pandemic. So there was this old lady, Caucasian female, who told the doctors, look, I think she was 80 plus. Look, I don't want to get treated. I've lived a very fulfilling life. I'm infected. Let me die. And they let her. They actually let her pass away. Obviously, they made sure that she doesn't suffer, and all those precautions were taken. They made sure that she's isolated, that she cannot infect other people. They took care of all of that, but they honored her wish of passing away. Now, here's what is happening with the Tablighi Jamaat. A lot of people are going there, and some of them are refusing to get treated. For whatever reasons, we don't know what their reasons are. But many of them have thrown stones at the health workers, etc., and they have refused to be treated. So the question that was running in my head, and I'm still not very sure about what to do in this situation, is that if somebody tells the state that, listen, I don't want to be treated, leave me alone, should the state leave them alone or not? Now, here's my answer. At an elementary level, I have to think a lot about this. I have not run enough thought experiments in my head to come up with a complete answer about this. But on the face of it, what I think is that if, this is a big if, by the way, if the government in power can make sure that these members of the Tablighi Jamaat, or it doesn't matter if they are the Tablighi Jamaat, they could be any group, if they are suffering from COVID, and they can be isolated in a particular area where they take care of themselves, they live by themselves, they can't go out and infect somebody else. Because here's the catch. See, in a normal disease, the issue is very different. In a normal disease, even if you're in an isolated ward in a hospital and you just let go of you go home, you're not infecting anyone. A person suffering from COVID, here's the thing. A person who's COVID positive, as we know from India, at least 70 to 80% of them are either asymptomatic or very mildly symptomatic. So they'll just roam around like what in Hindi we say a khulla sand, and just go on merrily infecting other people. Now, that is something we cannot allow. Why? Because that violates the harm principle. Now, I'll give you an example of the harm principle. What does the realm of freedom mean? So the harm principle states that you as an individual drink as much as you want, smoke as much as you want. But you can't drink and drive, because the moment you drink and drive, you are a potential threat to many other people. So similarly, we can apply the harm principle to the people infected with the coronavirus too. So if you're COVID positive and you go and tell the government, heck, I don't want to be treated. So I know we are a poor country and we cannot manage all of this, but I think in an ideal scenario, that person should be allowed to die. You don't need to treat them. Let that person stay in an isolated area. The government, I don't know, can use drones or some shit. Give them food. They can buy those foods. They can eat them. And they can live as long as they want to. If you want to die, you should be allowed to die. Obviously, it leads to a much larger discussion on euthanasia, assisted suicide, and stuff like that, which is, I know, illegal in India. And we had a huge hue and cry about the whole Santara issue with the Jains. And it's a iffy area as far as legality in India is concerned. I'm aware of all these facts, but I'm just saying, when I was thinking about what the Tablighis are doing, I said to myself, you know what? If these buggers want to die, let them die. If they don't have the will to live, let them give up their lives. But they have no right to take other people's lives by infecting them. So, I don't know, book some bloody old shoddy stadium, put them in, lock the stadium, use drones, drop food, milk, water, meat, whatever, give them stoves and shit like that. You can cook it, you can eat, you keep dropping one after the other. We don't care. Once all of you are gone, we'll bury the bodies. And another issue, moral issue was, if you guys remember, there was this BMC news bulletin that the BMC had said that all the bodies of the COVID positive cases, at least in Mumbai, have to be burnt. in the Hindu crematorium, like the electric या लकड़ा जो भी use करेंगे. And then immediately there was a backlash that you should not allow it. What about other people's religious sensitivities, etc., etc., etc.? I believe that's a mistake, because either you behave the way the Americans are, where there is a proper burial system, where I think they have a very deep grave, and they have concreting, and then they have a casket, and then they put the casket inside, and then they pour concrete on top of it. If you're willing to follow certain norms, then it's different. But we all know what's going to happen in India. They're just going to dig a pit, they're going to drop the body in, put mitti, sand or whatever, reti on top of it, and it's going to become a biohazard. I believe either you follow the norms like they do in the West. This is another moral issue, but I don't care. I believe nobody, if this is the case, should be allowed to be buried. I think COVID-19 bodies should be cremated, properly burned. That is the right way to do it. Otherwise, each and every freaking body that we are going to see in this entire process is going to be a potential biohazard. I am really worried about this, and I'll tell you why I'm worried about this. I don't know how many of you have been following this angle, but there was a report in Dainik Bhaskar Indore where there was a particular hotspot. I think it was 4 hotspots, or the area of or there was 1 hotspot and there were 4 qabristans there. Qabristan being a Muslim burial ground. Now, in those four qabristans, there were 130 burials in the month of March. And from the date of, I think, 1st of April to the 10th of April, they had around 127 or 140 burials. And here was the catch. They were not sure if all of them were declared COVID positive officially. Now, here's the catch. Let's say you're declared COVID positive officially, and the government says, "Ha, theek hai bhai, follow on the norms, dig the grave, concrete it, put the body in with a casket, then put concrete on top again, follow the norms, pour some chemicals on the concrete that make sure that the biohazard angle is all taken care of, etc., etc." What if the autopsy of the body in these times, and you know how autopsies are done in India, we just don't have the infrastructure for autopsies in India. They are COVID positive, they are not declared COVID positive, and all these bodies are buried in those burial grounds using normal methods where there is no concrete. It is just you dig it up, put the body in, cover it again. This is not ideal. I think it's a risky proposition. I don't know what the government is doing. I know India, being a limited state capacity country, a limited resource capacity country, I'm really worried about this stuff. And I think nobody is talking about it. And I don't think so speaking about this makes you Islamophobic. This is primarily going to infect whom? Hindus don't go to Muslim burial grounds. Muslims go to Muslim burial grounds. This is going to infect Muslims. And everybody who's doing this needs to be extremely worried about it. So I've been saying this to all the journalists: start doing investigations about burial grounds. In fact, another moral issue is that why aren't so many COVID positive cases being declared COVID positive? What's the big deal? I think at the end of this, anything between the range of 5,000 to 7,000 deaths are not going to be counted in the COVID range. Does that make it unbearable in the entire scheme of things, considering 1.37 billion people in India? No, I don't think so. But the point is, it's still bad. We are letting go a lot of deaths. In my view, even one is wrong, that are COVID positive potentially and are not being declared. And we're just letting it slip under the radar. I'm not talking about a specific state. I'm not trying to get political. It could well happen in a BJP state. It could well happen in Bengal. It could well happen in Maharashtra. My concern is that if they are COVID positive and they're not going to be following the burial norms, we are looking at potential biohazards. That is my worry. Okay, so I think I have covered the COVID area. Now, before I get into all the comments that you guys have made, I just want to start by talking about something, and then I'll look into the comments. So I want to start by first saying, a shout out to Guru Chetan Prabhakar, Tanmay Kulkarni, and Kiki 1998. They have just become members of the YouTube channel over here. So thanks a lot for the support. So just to announce to each and everyone is going to be watching this later or who's watching this live right now. So all this time, I had the monetization option on patreon.com. In case you're wondering what the option on patreon.com was. So you guys know this is the link. It's patreon.com/Cārvāka. As you see the link on the screen. Now a lot of people were like, we don't want to join Patreon or this or that. And then I was like, okay, you know what, I'll create another option on YouTube. So now if you go on the YouTube channel, you'll see a button that clearly says join. So you click the button, and I've kept two options. There is a basic option, basic membership option, one there that is, I think, that is 59 rupees a month, and the other one is 399 rupees a month. Now what is the difference between the two? The 59 rupees a month one, you'll get a shout out on a monologue once a month. Anybody and everybody who gets a membership there, I'll give you guys a shout out. And the other ones, I'm going to create a system where everybody who chooses the other option, at least, I don't know how many times a month I'm going to do this, but at least once a month, I'm going to have a off the record conversation with you guys, whoever is a member of that 399 tier. I'm not going to create any more tiers. I'm just going to create these two tiers. I'm not going to create 1,000 rupee tier or 1,500 rupee tier. I'm not interested in that. I want to keep things simple. Now you might ask, then what about Patreon? Well, it's simple. I'm going to keep these two things different. They are separate. One does not have to do anything with the other. So you might ask, what the hell is going to happen on Patreon then? Well, what is happening right now on Patreon continues on Patreon. So as of now on Patreon, we've completed 3 books of Shrikant Talagiri, from first page to last page, each and every chapter in detailed discussions. And right now we're discussing Michel Danino's book, The Lost River. We've already completed 5 chapters in that. This Sunday we'll be doing the 6th chapter. We'll start at 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time, as I usually do these days, and we'll be going on doing those things. So on Patreon, it's very clear. We're going to be picking books. We're going to be discussing them. We're going to have those closed groups, group discussions over there. And on YouTube, I have already mentioned the 2 tiers. So if you want to support on YouTube, you can do the YouTube. Now, some of you might say, Ki Kushal bhai, I want to support you on YouTube, but I'm also interested in the Patreon. Now, I'm not given a thought to that. As of now, I don't want to mix the two. But if there is someone who's going to be really keen and who's going to be like, nahi, mujhe bhi Patreon mein aana hai, then I'll have to talk to everybody who's supporting on Patreon, for the guys who are in the 399 tier, and I'm going to ask them. And if everybody on Patreon who's already supporting me there is fine with it, then I'll do something about it. And that will be sent to you individually. I will get to you at an individual level, whosoever is supporting me there. I'll post on YouTube and I'll find a way out. And how do we figure that stuff out? I'll have to take maybe your individual email IDs, and whenever I conduct the session, I can send the private link to y'all. You can join in at that time. All right. That concludes everything. Now I'm going to look at your questions and let's get on with it. Okay, Sumit K says, we are also questioning if having a job is essential if we have an alternative financial source. Well, Sumit, it depends. A job comes with its own benefits. An alternative financial source comes with its own benefits. Now, I have never done a job in my life, so I'm not in a position to say or give you any comment on that, but all I can say is right now is not a time to be adventurous. I think adventures are in the good times right now. Hold on to what you have. If you have a steady job, I would say stick to that. Zyada adventurous बनने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. Just continue with what you're doing. So Deepak says, what happens after 3rd of May? I don't know, man. I think we'll have the green, orange zones opened. Green will be opened with far lesser restrictions, orange with slightly more, and red will have to be extended for 2 more weeks. I am pretty sure about that. Oh yeah, Shrija, I am aware of the commodity fetishism, but I'm not talking about that. I actually genuinely believe we need those fictions. Unlike Marx, who hated them, I like them. I believe that's the only way we keep the game running. That's my whole point. Okay. Saffron flags removed by the police. That was ridiculous. I thought that the move that the police has done, it was ridiculous. And even the thing where what is that Twitter handle, the skin doctor or something of that sort, he clearly mentioned it's satire. I have been to on this, speaking about this subject for a long time, so my record is crystal clear. You know what I have to say. Okay, Varun, thanks a lot for the super chat. There's been a talk here to impose 10% COVID import duty on Chinese products, saying that it'll reduce our trade deficit. Varun, when you say here, as in India, right? I believe it depends on the item. Look, import duties are relative to our societal realities and our economic realities. So I'll give you an example. Let's say this is a product that we don't make at all. We don't have the capex. We don't have the capacity to make that stuff. And if we put a duty on that, then we are only harming ourselves. But let's say we have, I'll give you an option. So in vinyl sulfone colors or reactive dyes, jisko bolte hain, I can give you an example of my industry. So there is something called H acid. H acid is used to manufacture dyes that are used to color cotton color fabrics. Now we have H acid manufacturing capacity in India. I think Bodal does it, and many other limited companies are manufacturing H acid. But there is a lot of H acid import also in India. Now, if the government, we have the technology, now the government can easily tell Indian companies, increase your technology capacity, and they put an import duty. That import duty is justified in my view. You create an avenue for people, and the government has done that in a lot of electronics, even before the COVID thing has happened. So I think that could be a sound strategy. But if we were, our net manufacturing of H acid was zero, and government just out of khundak, just out of stupidity, puts a cess on the Chinese, I think that's suicidal. So we have to be very careful about these things. We have to decide how we go about it. Akshay Aradhya says, why don't we see a task force at national level to facilitate the welcoming of companies that want to move out of China? UP is doing something, I read, but why not at a national level? Akshay, here's the thing. I think it has to be done at a state level. At the national level, all we can do is somewhere at the policy level, we can reduce the roadblocks. My biggest worry in this entire fiasco is that the government today is what, 30th of April. We don't know Karan Arjun kab aayenge. Karan Arjun being the fiscal stimulus. We have no clue. The government, and the worst part is the government is not even signaling anything. It just says, we are having a discussion. What do you mean we are having a discussion? Give us a roadmap. Tell us what you intend to do. Tell us we are consulting with people. They don't even say that. The hubris of the government in this is just deeply disgusting. And nobody cares. Everybody seems to be defending the government all the time as if our life depends on it. Our life depends on our economic status. That is where our life depends on. And believe me, doing this is not going to be good. So I don't know what the central, if I was the central government man, Akshay, this is what I would have done. I would have created a central task force. I agree with you. And you know what I would have done? I would have empowered X number of ministers, like go outside India, start going to these industries, start talking to people, start hosting conferences. We don't know what's happening. The government doesn't even tell us it's doing it. Imagine if you're doing it, you shouldn't be telling your people that we're trying to contact these people. They should be, right? They don't even do that, which just mind boggles me. It blows my mind away that the government doesn't even want to talk about it. UP is doing a fantastic job. Okay, I have to take this one. So Kushal labels some Hindutva-badis as bigots without any facts or statistical data. Doesn't it look like monkey balancing? No, it is not monkey balancing. It is having a conscience. And this is where the Hindutva moral relativism comes. Just like, whenever you criticize Islam, you guys love it. You guys get those orgasms. Arey, wah, Islam ko gali di, boss. I will not work on your moral parameters. I will work on my moral parameters. I am not part of any online tribe. I believe in what is good, what is bad. If there is a bigoted Hindu, there is a bigoted Hindu. If there is a bigoted Muslim, there is a bigoted Muslim. I don't care. If you were to ask me, are they equally bigoted at a community level, at an individual level, at a societal level, I will be very open. I just think there is more regressiveness in the Muslim society. I have always said that. I never shy away from saying that. In fact, I have been one of the few people who has been citing the 2012 Pew polls about attitudes of Muslims about specific issues. But that doesn't mean I hate every Muslim. It's irrational, it's illogical. And if you don't believe there is a bigoted element on the Twitter Hindutva side, then there is something seriously wrong with you, not me. You choose to ignore to see that. I don't, because my house doesn't run through Twitter Hindutva bigotry. I don't need it. I don't need this. And I am not monkey balancing. I am stating the obvious fact. There is nothing wrong in calling balls and strikes when you see it. It doesn't mean A is greater than B or A is lesser than B. It is what it is. You don't like it because you are part of that tribe. You're attached to that tribe. You're attached to that element. I'm unemotional about it. I don't care. That's why I'm different. And I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying this is my way. And I don't expect anybody to follow my way. You can follow your way. You are not even obliged to support me. You're not even obliged to like me. But I am not obliged to change my views as per anybody else's wishes. There is clear-cut bigotry in this society. Is it as bad? I don't think so. It is as bad as the Muslim side. Definitely not. In fact, there is more anti-Hinduism and anti-Hindu bigotry on the Muslim side. I do not shy away from saying that. But I still care about our society's social fabric. At the end of the day, 20 crore Muslims हैं इस देश में. कहाँ जाएंगे? सबको साथ में ही रहना ना. So we have to find ways of living together. There is nothing wrong in what I'm saying. Okay, Josh Parekh, thanks a lot for being a member. So here's your shout out. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate all the support. All right. R. So I don't know. Whatever. R. And you think Arabs and USA will spare India for that? I think you're being naive here. Arabs and USA will spare India for what? R. Can you be more specific? I don't know at what time you mentioned that point, so I'm not getting the context. If you're talking about the Arab world and the whole Tablighi Jamaat controversy over here, I think it's going to be settled if you're meaning that, because beyond a point, capitalistic realities pop in, because you have to understand all the best doctors and all the best engineers and the best tech people, all the STEM field people in the Arab world are mostly Indians. What are they going to throw all the Indians out and commit basically effectively suicide? I don't think so they're going to do that. Both the economies need each other. Even the Indian economy needs the Arab world. What about all the foreign inflow? Boss, Kerala to pura state hi us pe chalta hai, Gulf money pe. So we need to be practical. Beyond a point, reality strike in. Does criticizing Tablighi Jamaat make one Islamophobic? Not at all. We should criticize the Tablighi Jamaat. We should criticize each and every religious, non-religious, I don't care, group or individual that clearly violates what I told you. Read these 3 things in your life if you can. Anekantwad, Jainism, Harm Principle by John Stuart Mill, and The Worst Possible Outcome, The Worst Possible Misery by Sam Harris. Okay, how about this? I'll do this. For the members of YouTube who are going to be the $3.99 tier, I will spend a session with all of you and I will explain these 3 concepts in detail to you all behind the scenes. I'll do that. So at least you guys get a common clarity. So you have to have clarity when you analyze issues. Your first principles have to be cleared. Remove the emotions aside and then look at a subject. It doesn't matter if it's your tribe or the outside tribe. Then you will get the best answers. Okay, Shrij, Kushal, the problem with that libertarian harm principle is you would know, how would you morally evaluate things like parents not taking care of a child, because in that case, no one is harmed without consent. Well, there are exceptions, right? If parents don't take care of a child, I mean, again, you have to define what is care. I mean, in the Western world, in Nordic countries, I mean, certain kinds of Indian raising practices were not appreciated by those folks, and then they thought, that's not good enough. So that's a slippery slope. You have to be giving me a very, very, very specific example, and then we can talk about it. Like, parents not taking care is a very wide term. Taking care in what sense? Are they beating the child up? Are they harming the child, abusing the child physically? That's an objective standard. Then the government has to come in. But I mean, what? A smack on the bum? Come on, all of us have been smacked on the bum. Is that so? We have to be very careful in what we are talking about. Give me a more specific example. So Aditya says businesses are closing down by the day. Please speak about herd immunity. Sweden is doing it and quite successful. Abhi Sweden ka bhi koi model, there is a confusion about it. I don't know how much of a herd immunity they are developing. The thing about this is, let us wait. You need to wait for 3-4 months to come up with a confident answer. I would say hold your horses, man. Just says, can we see some monologues on Mahabharata? Well, I could, if you guys want. I could do that for you all. I mean, just you're a member, so we can do that also. We can have some discussions on the Mahabharata if you want. Not a problem at all. So Srihari has, what is your opinion on Sweden's approach to COVID-19? Looks like they're building herd immunity. Srihari, I honestly, I don't know. That is the right answer. We don't know whether the Swedish approach is right. Because if we were to look at the Swedish approach as of now, so what can we compare the Swedish approach to? We can compare it to their neighbors who are following a lockdown, right? The other Nordic nations. Sweden has had a lot more deaths than them. So is the Swedish model wrong as of now? Maybe. But what if these countries open the lockdown and then they get hit by a second wave and eventually they land up in the same mortality rate as Sweden? So would Sweden be wrong then post facto? No. I'm being very honest with you. That's what the only answer is. But it depends on, the biggest a priori assumption here is that the second wave is coming and the second wave will be very brutal. That's the a priori assumption for the Swedish model to say they're correct right now. Because as of now, their mortality is far higher than anybody else in that region. I'm talking about, again, that region. Okay, let's go down now because some of the things have been skipped. What about Singapore? Singapore never advocated herd immunity. Singapore is actually a problem child. If you look at it, their temperature wise, they are quite similar to us. But here's the problem. They are a very air conditioned society. They hardly roam around. हमारे यहाँ देखो ना, आप घरों में भी AC कब होता है? रात को चलता है. We put the air conditioning on in the night. In the daytime, we are sitting in open ventilated spaces in our houses. That's usually our lifestyle. I think that is also a big difference. Tanmay, why don't we call out the Muslim community for largely staying silent to condemn the Tablighi Jamaat? I think it depends. Are we following enough Muslims? I mean, I know one Twitter handle, Farhan, he's been consistently calling them out. I know Yusuf Unjawala is. But yes, there is a problem inside their community also. I mean, look at Shahid Siddiqui. Disgusting. Did you see his tweet about the burqa? देखो हम लोग कितना आगे थे, हमने पहले से ही ये कपड़ा देख लिया. What the hell, man? तू पहनना फिर वो बुर्का पहन के घूम. बकवास कर रहा था वो आदमी. It's ridiculous. India has 8th highest testing in the world as of today with respect to cases. India is 15th worst. Are we testing enough? I think as far as the RT-PCR is concerned, I think our testing strategy is sound. What we need now is, I think I agree with Anand Ranganathan here. I think now we need to do those antibodies tests in the hotspots. I don't know what the government is waiting for, honestly. पता नहीं क्या, चाइना का माल लिया है तो चाइना का माल खराब है. अभी अपेरेंटली साउथ कोरिया से किधर से आ रहा है, कोई चाइना से आ रहा है, कोई किधर से आ रहा है. Once we do the tests, the antibody tests, we'll actually know the real infection rate. It might well be that in the hotspots, far more people are infected. And if far more people are infected in the hotspots and they just got cured by themselves, then we'll actually know the effect of the virus. So we'll have to now ramp up the antibody test. I think the RT-PCR is not a right gauge anymore. I think the antibodies in combination with the RT-PCR test, that is the right combination. Hey Kushal, I've been binging your content from the last few days. In one of the podcasts, you said you used to listen to News Laundry podcasts. Do you still consume News Laundry's content? No, I don't. I got bored. They just talk about the same things. Yeah, this is my problem. Look, I'll tell you why I started this podcast. When somebody comes to my podcast, right? My intent is that every time they come over here, they don't get the same Rona Dhuna. Every time they come here, they get something new, some new perspective, some new philosophical aspect, some new moral, social, ethical realm. That's what my aim is on this podcast. Unfortunately, in the News Laundry, it's the same political Rona Dhona. I'm very bored of those political podcasts. Beyond the point, yaar, kya argue kar loge roz? Just think about it. What can the BJP teach you on a daily basis and the Congress teach you on a daily basis about politics? They give you the same answers on every subject, just they change the words a little bit on the left and a little bit on the right. That's all they do here. It's so boring. So yeah, now I don't recommend viewing that podcast. If they have some new concept or something, then maybe yes, but I can't take it anymore, honestly. Parth. What is your estimate of the number of deaths in India due to COVID-19? 10,000. Yeah, Parth, I'm pretty much in that range. 10,000 officially and 5 to 7,000 unofficially. That's my range. Should work from home and online lecture classes be encouraged after the lockdown was lifted? I don't think online lectures are possible, man. There is a clear-cut value to teaching in a classroom. There is more attention. You can't control kids. You can't control kids at home. I think it will not work. It's not going to work. In California, they're now having rent strikes where activists are building a movement against paying rent. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, tell me about it. If you don't pay the rent, it's not like the person who owns the property does not have any costs, right? They have supervisors to maintain the building, who take care of the electricity, the plumbing, etc., etc. So what? They just make the whole thing collapse? I mean, you can ask for humanitarian grounds. Okay, can you cut me some slack? Can you not charge me so much rent for a while? Can we renegotiate stuff like that? I get all of that. If you're gonna say no rent paid, we need to the house to stay. That's a little ridiculous. So then the person who owns the property, should they say anything happens to you, I'm not going to maintain it? If the heating goes off, if the cooling goes off and you suffer because of that, the same people who don't want to pay the rent will also sue the landlord and say, no, I died before because of your negligence. It's ridiculous. This is not the way. I don't agree with it. Do you think career options like epidemiologists, biostatisticians, virologists will get a much needed boost? In India? No. We will be back to the same old shit. Believe me, Tanmay. I have so much confidence in our incompetence. Sri Hari Kulkarni, is importing PPE kits from China was a good move. So what do we do? Tell me, Sri Hari. If we did not have the capex to manage it ourselves, nobody else is making it, where do we go? If we did not have an option, do we let our health workers die? Something is better than nothing, right? How long will it take for India to be an atheist country? India will never be an atheist country. I will be the first one to oppose it because I am not an atheist. I am a Nastik Nirishwarwadi. आपकी भाषा में सुधार देख के आनंद हो रहा है. अधिकाधिक शुद्ध हिंदी का प्रयास करेंगे, यह आशा है. भाई मैं हमेशा ऐसी हिंदी में बात करता था. मैं जानबूझ के अपने आप को टोन डाउन करता था शाम की पॉडकास्ट पे. पता नहीं उस दिन एक्चुअली मेरा वो टोन डाउन का स्विच ऑफ हो गया था, तो मैं धबाधब बोलते जा रहा था अपनी नेचुरल फ्लो में. मुझे बाद में रियलाइज हुआ जब किसी ने कमेंट किया था सुपर चैट पे कि आप आज ये हिंदी में कैसे बोलने लगे. तो मेरे को रियलाइज हुआ कि नहीं मेरे को नहीं बोलना चाहिए, नहीं तो अगर मैं चाहूँ तो मैं ऐसी हिंदी में रेगुलरली बोल सकता हूँ। कोई मेरी हिंदी आज नहीं है, मेरी ये बचपन से थी, क्योंकि मेरे पिताजी की हिंदी बहुत अच्छी है। मेरे पिताजी बहुत शुद्ध हिंदी में वार्तालाप करते हैं, तो मुझे उनसे आदत लगी हुई है हमारे घर में। तो हम तो ये बात करते हैं, मगर वो क्या होता है, आप अपने मस्तिष्क में वो स्विच ऑन और ऑफ करते हो। तो अगर मुझे एकदम शुद्ध हिंदी वाला स्विच ऑन करना है तो मैं इजीली कर सकता हूँ, और अगर ऑफ करके वो मुंबई कर स्टाइल में बात करनी है, अपुन तपुन क्या कर रेला है, वो भी कर सकते हैं। तो हम सब करते हैं, आप भी कर सकते हो, अगर यदि आप मुंबई से हो या आप किधर से भी होगे। Why is demography destiny? If demography is not destiny, so okay, I had written this in an Op India article. So एक story सोचो. So imagine there is this little town called Hope. So Hope is very plural, very open. You know, it believes in freedom of speech, etc., etc. And the neighboring town of Hope is Chaos. Chaos believes in everything that is the opposite of hope. But Chaos comes into Hope for economic opportunities, right? But Chaos doesn't believe in free speech. Chaos believes atheists should die. Chaos believes in etc., etc., all bad ideas. One thing Chaos is better than Hope in: they have a far better reproductive rate. So eventually, over 200, 300 years, the people who believe in those set of ideas, the Chaos ideas, out reproduce the Hope ones. This is why demography is destiny. Demography is destiny because demography of a set of people who believe in a set of memes, a set of ideas. And again, go back to cultural relativism. Because those ideas are better, so we should always make sure that the population of people who believe in those plural ideas always remains the main source of the society. As long as that is there, we are set. So it doesn't matter if you're a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. As long as the largest population in this country believes in pluralism, mutual respect, reciprocity, ahimsa, we are safe. The moment the demography of those people who don't believe in these things increases, we are in a big soup. That is why demography is destiny. Learned a lot of things from you. Continue your podcast with Sham. Thank you very much, Josh. Well, see, as long as the podcast with Sham is concerned, whenever Sham invites me, I'm more than happy to speak with him. Sham is a brother, so it's always nice to go on his podcast. So whenever he invites me, I'll go there. So Pravar, thanks for the super chat. Many Indian Muslim Twitter handles are complaining against Hindus working in Gulf over mere criticism of Tablighi Jamaat. Will it affect Indo-Gulf Saudi relations? No, I don't think so. It will affect relations. You have to understand how many of them were Pakistani handles. I think there is a proper article also written on this, Pravar. I think 80-90% of them were, jackass Pakistanis doing it. So we have to be very careful. I have to share this. Vietnam is going to grab this opportunity. I couldn't agree more with you, Omkar. Even Bangladesh will grab this opportunity. Hum haath malte rahenge. Has government taken an action about you told we should increase export of textile industry? Aniruddha, no. Kushal, do you think we need more skeptics and atheists on the non-left? Like people like you are quite rare. Honestly, kya hota hai, Shrij? It is not part of our being or our existence, because we don't get any kind of, I personally, other than there was this gang of these particular people, I have understood they call me Guruji. So the moment there is a tweet with Guruji on my TL, I have a rule: you call me Guruji, I mute you. So there were like 50-60 handles, all bots. They used to trouble me. Beyond that, nothing. See, I know most people on the non-left don't like the fact that I don't like many aspects of their own religion too. But they have been very friendly and kind with me overall. I think overall my experience in Hindu society has been of openness and plurality. I say it with a lot of pride. I've said it to my supporters on Patreon too. I don't know if anybody is online right now from Patreon, but they know it for a fact. If they've attended the sessions or watched the videos, I always ask them. I never try to convert anyone to atheism or any kind of skepticism. That is not my thing. My skepticism or my Nirishwarvad is leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. I believe in the Hindu way. I am a Hindu. I just don't believe in your claims. My darshan is different, your darshan is different. Your darshan to you, my darshan to me. And I will not convert you, you will not convert me. Let us live happily ever after. We'll have debates and let the best man win or let the best woman win. Doesn't matter. But I don't think like, oh, I need to have more atheists in the lawn left. I don't think like that. I'm not out there to create some team. I'm out here to talk about ideas. I live my life on the basis of whom you call Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and I call him Shri Krishna because I don't think he's a Bhagwan in that sense, because I don't believe in a Bhagwan. But I live my life by the principles of Nishkam Karma. Now, what are you going to call me? I don't believe in Bhagwan, but I like the Bhagavad Gita. Many lessons of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's very complicated. We should not look at it that way. Anita asks, why do people calling this virus Corona? I don't know. Maybe it has a very low mortality rate, so they want to say kuch to kar yaar, Corona. I don't know. Thank you once again. How about India makes it mandatory for companies to state the countries from where they source their material from and then encourage RSS and the media to propagate boycott Chinese products? We don't need to do that, bro. Trust me, it started happening. I went to the Bajiwala and there was these apples. They're packed apples. And there was an auntie right beside me. It was so funny. She's like, hey, this is not Chinese apple, nah? I'm like, no, madam. This is American apple. This is not Chinese apple. Trust me. It's all over WhatsApp. RSS doesn't need to do that. If they do it, it's nice, but it has to be very smart and subtle. Okay. Odisha closed its borders with West Bengal. I'm from West Bengal. What do you think it will happen to us? Is West Bengal becoming worse than Maharashtra? I don't know what's happening in West Bengal. I spoke to a few doctor friends over there, and what they told me was kind of weird. But here's the thing. Closing borders is fine, but we also have to realize the fact that the mortality rate of the virus is not as bad. I mean, relatively speaking. So I don't know how to react to this. You know, Mamata Banerjee, she is a piece of work. Do you think the Maharashtra government will be unstable post the coronavirus? Ramesh, I don't think so. I think they'll complete the term. They will hop, skip, and jump. Would you be willing to talk to Tarak Fatah? Please have a conversation in Punjabi. What if I told you he might welcome next month? Chances hai. Overall, Islam is good or bad? You never gave a clear answer. Islam, I don't like Islam. I never liked that religion. I don't like religion. I'll give you an even further answer. Is religion good or bad? I think most religions are bad in varying degrees. I think there are a lot of bad ideas in religions. Okay, do you have any insider info on the second stimulus package? माफ करो, हमको कुछ नहीं पता. What is a progressive? People who you usually have a problem with on Twitter. Charles, that's not possible, man, to get so many people on a podcast at the same time. So I'm really sorry. By what time will we have 0 cases all over India? I think we'll never have 0 cases. We just have to live with this virus like we live with many other viruses. So don't have these fancy ideas. Don't live in this bhram. What we'll have is an antiviral cure and a vaccine in the long run. This virus ain't going nowhere. Okay, Akshay, I guess I answered your question without looking at this. Your opinion on the Rahul and Raghuram discussion. I have not watched it. I don't watch such things. I don't waste my time on such things. All I know is it was a 1-hour discussion, apparently, which was edited and made 27 minutes. So I don't know what kind of horse manure must they be speaking there. I meant letting Tablighi Jamaats die if they won't want to. See, I believe if they don't want to be treated, they should be let to, marne do unko. Just let them die. Make sure they are isolated and quarantined in a place where they can't get out. That's all I care about. I believe let them die if they want to. India should openly criticize China, instead try to silently get the countries who are anti-China move their corporations to India. Yeah, Ramesh, how I wish that happens. But you know how India and our great Babudam is. So the less I say, the better. What's your opinion on the attack on Arnab Goswami? It was a ridiculous thing. Why should they be attacking that guy? I mean, what did he say? I mean, even if you disagree with what he said, what kind of behavior is this? Why should Arnab be attacked? Nobody should be attacked like this. We are in a free country, yeah. People are allowed to say what they want to say. It's ridiculous. Ale Congress ne jo kiya hai. What do you think happened with the whole force support with IRS officers? Looks like they were kind of scapegoated by senior officers for that atrocity. Oh yeah, nobody knows. So मैं भी जो बोलूंगा वो भी तुक्का होगा अमोघ. दूसरा बोलेगा वो भी तुक्का होगा. I don't know what has happened. Sometimes we just don't know, and we should be left with the answer we don't know. Key. The left is linking the criticism of Tablighi Jamaat equivalent to criticizing all Muslims. The left sucks. They're stupid. The left harms Muslims more than the non-left. That's what my whole point was. That has always been my point, man. It's disgusting. How can we compare extreme harmlessness with extreme harm? Surely they can't be the same. No, they are not, Anita. The only similarity on both ends is the mental template. It's very funny, right? And I've said this with my dearest friend of my life, who is a Jain, and he's a practicing Jain. No onions, nothing, all that jazz, and nothing underground. And we've been friends from school since grade 1 till third year BCom. We were in the same school and college. We are friends today. He is, if not my saga bhai, like a saga bhai to me. And I always used to tell him, I still tell him, I was like, the mindset between an extremist of Jainism and Islam is the same. Both are addicted to a book. The lucky factor is one says don't kill, don't kill, don't kill, no matter what the scenario, and the other says kill, kill, kill. That's the only difference, if you ask me. The template is very dangerous because both are just slaves of the book. My whole point is, don't be a slave of any book. Be person who is rational. Interestingly, Islamic culture had a very interesting idea of the Mutazilites, who, and now before somebody says, oh, they were violent, I'm not talking about the Mutazilites. Had a very interesting concept of akla and nakla. So akla was the Quran. Yes, it's there, but we will use our own rationality and reinterpret the Quran. And the nakla was whatever is written has to be followed to the T, cut, copy, paste. So I believe religious people need to upgrade their software and use rationality when they are looking at their religions. Let me go. Do you think until and unless there is political will to call Tablighi Jamaat out, do you think individual endeavors will make any difference? They do, yeah. I think individual endeavors do make a difference. I'm an optimist. How badly do you think the left-wing, non-left is being affected due to the lack of positive doctrine and being entirely built on the rejection of the left? This feels unsustainable. I don't know, man. The less I say, the better it is. I have no positive things to say about the non-left. I think it lacks ideas, it lacks originality, it lacks people who read, it lacks people who think, it lacks people who have basic conceptual clarity when it comes to first principles. I think the left at least works hard and reads a lot. Even if they write garbage, the point is they are still making an effort to come up with ideas. Our side doesn't do anything. All we do is subah se sham randi rona. It's not Elton Musk, it's Elon Musk, Anmol. He's opposing the lockdown. I believe, yeah, the green and orange zones should be let go now in a systematized manner with some rules in place. Red zones, another 2 weeks after that. No, Amish Tripathi is a nice guy. He's an amazing guy. Why would you say that about Amish Tripathi? Indian approach is a little flawed by sealing the hospitals for 3 months, sterilize the place and get to. Couldn't agree more with you, man. Totally, 100% agree with you. In fact, Amit Thadani, my dear friend, and he's there on Twitter also, he's been giving the same suggestion. So shout out to Amit too. Amazing guy. One of the nicest people I've met. someone who's an expert on education laws in the country. That's a good suggestion. I'll think about it. According to you, how is India responding to COVID-19? I think our response has been reasonably good. How do I decide? Well, simple. You start listening to them. If you find them interesting, you keep on listening. If you don't find them interesting, you stop. I mean, it depends. See, if Joey Diaz, you want to listen to it because they're just funny as hell. If it's Brian Callen, they're funny as hell. But yeah, sometimes some of the stand-up comics that come on Joe Rogan's podcast, I find them boring, so I just skip through them. So if it's Dunkel Trussell, it's very funny. So it depends. Not related to COVID, but there is a YouTuber you could have an interesting conversation with. Her name is Equalist Asta. Also, Tony versus Justin. Who's your money on? So I don't know who Equalist Asta is. Jehan, I don't know. Tony versus Justin, bro. Come on, Tony. Although I love Justin Gaethje, man, his fighting style is so exciting. And Justin Gaethje, I think he's not going to have more than 4 fights in his career because the way he keeps moving forward, that's his thing, right? That's Justin Gaethje all the time. Just move forward, chop the legs, and then go for the kill. Chop the legs, go for the kill. I mean, it's obviously much more than that. He was a collegiate wrestler, so his takedown defense is off the charts. But yeah, I think Tony is just something else, man. I think he's going to win. Yeah, my lab has an indigenous testing kit. So they are manufacturing, but the issue is manufacturing capacity. Improving rural economies and reversing urbanization due to strange fetish of religious thoughts. These people are scary. These are those people who have some romanticized version of ancient India being awesome and everybody holding hands and dancing in the aisles. I don't know what these people have against modernity. I don't know why they are the way they are. They are so scary, these people. They scare the shit out of me, to be very honest. But yeah, kya bole abhi yaar? I can't even say anything beyond a point. Why isn't Jordan Peterson aware of Hindu philosophies as much as he's with Buddhist ones? Do you think life is essentially a suffering, like he says, reading Buddhist philosophy? First of all, I think dukkha is not suffering, and I don't want to waste my time here explaining why it is not. But yeah, I think they don't even read a lot of Buddhism, if you ask me. Sam Harris is the exception. He's read Ramana's Advaita and Buddhism. But most of them don't. They're just into their Abrahamic template and they keep looking at religions from that template. I mean, I read Maps of Meaning. I found it very boring, to be very honest. I was so gaya tha. Maps of Meaning padh ke. I finished the book though. Thank you, Anita. Really appreciate it. Okay. Okay, I don't know what Poonam means here, but okay, what is Nimish saying? The problem with bigotry on our side is it has gone beyond the Hindutva crowd. I have non-BJP neighbors and friends who are extremely pissed off. Now, how can we solve this? Nimish, I think I've given you the answer. Eventually, when life starts, life gets normal, things start getting normal. Capitalism eventually hits you. So that's all. Would you be interested in showing your drumming? Man, Kunav, I've not touched the drums for last decade or so. So if I practice for 6 months, okay, here's the funny part. So where my drums used to be, we put a shitty treadmill. Now here's the best part. Nobody uses the treadmill, but it's still there. And my drums are all dismantled. So if I start drumming, I would need at least 8 months of 2 to 3 hours of rigorous practice on a daily basis to get back to my old days. Before that, not the point. Also, I would not drum openly for the public is because To me, when I used to drum, it was a very private thing. It used to be a release for me. So I don't know if I would want to make that public. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say. But thanks for the super chat. Do you believe what Krishnaji said? Depends on what he said. That's such a open question. I don't know. I mean, there are so many things he said, yeah. So Sanal says, we are hearing many companies leaving China. Do you think India will grab the opportunity? No. Why are Hindus unapologetic, unapologetic about maintaining the demography? There is only 4 areas which are majority Muslim, and all of them are Islamic theocracies because Hindus are stupid. यार ऐसा है समीर, यू स्टार्ट मैसेजिंग आनंद, एक काम करो, सारे के सारे शुरू कर दो, ओपनली उसको बोलो चारवाक पॉडकास्ट पे जाओ. आनंद है ना आजकल बहुत ज्यादा, गिव मी 2 मिनट्स. आनंद सिर्फ उधर ही बैठा रहता है 9 बजे और आता नहीं है. So start trolling Anand. Tell him, Anand, come on the Cārvāka podcast. Anand, come on the Cārvāka podcast. Every second day, 100 tweets उसको डालो. आनंद को ट्रोल करना शुरू करो. And the best part is he won't see this, so I don't care. Okay, I want to ask you something on another topic. The whole Ram Setu controversy with Harish Sultan. Do you think Ramayana and Mahabharata story is true or completely fictional? I don't know what the controversy is, so I can't comment on it. These are similar questions. Okay, why are we continuously falling to attract companies who are trying to move out from China? Earlier during the US-China trade war, we failed miserably. हम कहाँ गलती कर रहे हैं? Any idea? Well, it's bureaucracy, and I think we cannot just blame the bureaucracy boss. At the end of the day, the buck stops at the leader. We have to criticize the PM also. We can't just say, यार सिर्फ उसके बगैर नहीं होता है. I think the mistake lies with the overall, atmosphere. Please get Arnab Goswami on the podcast. No, that's not happening. My t-shirt sucks. अरे भाई, t-shirt में क्या problem है? You know what it says? See no evil. Limbu mirchi. What is the difference between Nastik, Nirishwarwadi and an atheist? I've already done enough monologues on that, Vivek. You can go ahead and watch that and you will get all the answers. I think one was why I don't call myself an atheist. One was on the Cārvāka Darshan, and you can watch them. You'll get all the answers there. Am I learning cooking in this lockdown? No. झाड़ू पोछा कर रहा हूँ, वो काफी है. नो, संदीप सन्याल में क्या प्रॉब्लम भाई? संजीव सन्याल तो अच्छा आदमी है, अच्छा काम कर रहा है. Will Yogi succeed in bringing FedEx, Cisco, and Adobe to UP? I hope so. I don't know, man. I see these things are so tough to answer. Do you think the Modi government was wrong in reprimanding those IRS officers? Legally, can they be fired? I don't know under the government rules. So I was talking to a few lawyers. Somebody thought it can be done. One thought it can't be done. So I don't know. Yeah, it's not nice. How the hell can they cancel his lecture? So I'm talking to Sai. We had a exchange, I think a couple of days ago. हम लोग ने बात की थी WhatsApp पे. So yeah, he'll come on the podcast. We are planning to have a podcast. कब मेरे को नहीं मालूम. You like Graham Hancock? Very good. I don't know, man. Honestly, as of now, we don't know what's happening. I mean, the government is taking opinions. I can tell you that much. Even I was called for opinions. I can assure you that much. Many have been called. But उसके बाद होगा क्या मालूम नहीं. BM Hegde on your podcast. But to discuss what? What is your percentage body fat at the moment? Yeah, I already do hit workouts, but the thing is, I don't like to work out in the morning because just go to work. I usually work out in the evening, or nowadays I'm working out in the afternoon because we are lockdown. तो क्या करें? I've already done a podcast on this, Rushi, so you can watch the monologue. Peter Schiff, what do you think about his views on economics? He was interesting. Peter Schiff is that guy who was in, क्या नाम था यार उसका, वो businessman था, वो वाला बंदा था ये Peter Schiff. Was he that guy who was in Puerto Rico or something? Was he that guy? I'm not good with names. That's my problem. Opinion of India amongst outsiders has been bad after personal discussions. They don't believe the COVID numbers and equate India with Pak. Your opinion? They're mental. उनको कुछ अक्कल नहीं है. Stop wasting your time with them. Is the Chinese virus an accidental laboratory made virus? Could well be. I don't know. But there is a nature.com paper also which shows that it is from a bat and could be well be from a wet market. So I don't know. That's all I'm saying. What will you say about the USC IRF report on India? It was just the same old gobbledygook, man. That's all they all do. Sanal, I will be the rhythm guitarist. Very good, man. Good to know that you're a guitarist too. You mean his reasoning? मतलब आप कृष्ण की बात कर रहे हो. So his Krishna's reasoning and logic. Again, in pertaining to what? If Nishkam Karma's philosophy is interesting, but if you're believing that Krishna's logic to justify a reincarnation and afterlife, then I don't agree with that. Do you think tennis in India has become a rich man's sport? What needs to be done to promote the game, find raw talents, and make them go global? Man, Vishwesh, I think this could be a question asked to someone who's far more involved in tennis. I think tennis फिर भी afford की जा सकती है. I can give you the experience of Chembur Gymkhana, where we tend to have this program where kids from outside are given scholarship and coaching in the Chembur Gymkhana. So I mean, it can be done. ऐसा तो है नहीं. So yeah, I agree. Sports infrastructure is a problem. और cricket का क्या है? गली कूचे किधर भी खेल पाते हैं. Tennis is there is an access problem, but I think we can work around it. हाँ, मुझे नजर नहीं लगेगी. Why don't you make a podcast studio like Joe Rogan? ओ भाई क्यों? और मैं कोई इतने पैसे खर्चे कर दूं? Good job, Anita. Now everybody get on the job. Let's see. What's my dream cabinet? CM, HM, FM, NSA. See, NSA, Doval is fine. FM, Piyush Goyal maybe. Home Minister, राजनाथ जी ठीक ही थे. चीफ मिनिस्टर कौन सा भाई? सीएम कौन सा? How closely related is Zoroastrianism to Hinduism? It seems to borrow quite a bit in terms of mythology. It is interesting. I mean, if you read the Zendavesta and the early Gathas, it's very interesting. But it is far more on the monotheistic side, Jehan, from what I have understood, than Hinduism. But I mean, the fire worship rituals, the fire rituals are, digestion of Zoroastrianism, or those people, the ones on that side. What was it? Srikant Talagiri? I think the Iranians were Anus or Brigus. I forgot which tribe they were, as per Talagiri. Anybody from Patreon type, were they Anus or Brigus? I've forgotten. So those tribes, and we got the fire ritual habit from them. But yeah, there are a lot of similarities. Obviously, it's very interesting, right? The Indra is the deva here, but he's the opposing side there, and you guys have the goddess Ahura Mazda, which is basically Asura on our side. The Asura is the bad guy. So it's very interesting. It's basically तुम्हारे को ये वाली chocolate अच्छी लगती है, okay, हम ये वाली chocolate को उल्टा बोलेंगे. It's like that. People are funny. What is the alternative for Modi? The question should be, what is the alternative to BJP? I don't see any rational alternative to BJP. Mr. Modi is just an individual. So people can always go beyond it. Parties can go beyond it. I mean, after Atal Bihari Vajpayee, we had a leader like Narendra Modi. After Narendra Modi, we'll again have a leader. So that is not an issue. No individual is indispensable. What is the option to BJP? There is no option other than BJP. What do you think of the fact that our PM has not done a single press conference in 6 years? What does it say about his larger fear of being accountable, and why doesn't the media call him out on this? I mean, kya bole yaar? Manmohan Singh also not used to do this. I don't know what kind of a culture we have in this country. Yeah, the Prime Minister does have himself surrounded by a lot of socialists. It's a problem. I think it's a problem. Karan, are you going to do a podcast with Sham? देखो यार, शाम को पूछो. मैं कैसे आंसर करूं? पॉडकास्ट उसकी है. जब भी मुझे बुलाएगा मैं चले जाऊंगा. Kranti Kumar Reddy, I don't think so. The Honorable Gurudev Sadhguru will come on my small podcast. I'm just letting you know. I think you guys overrate me. Rishi Kulkarni, you can watch my monologue on the Cārvāka Darshan. From there, you'll get a lot of idea. Invite Norbert Alikis or Alex, whatever that guy is. यार उसको क्यों बुलाए? वो क्या है? पता नहीं. उसके ट्वीट आते रहते हैं हर 2 दिन में. अभी वो इंडिया के ऊपर भी ट्वीट करी जा रहा. पता नहीं क्या झंडा आदमी है वो. पता नहीं कौन है वो. No, I don't think so. Narendra Modi needs to help with the. Let him fall. I like him. He's my friend. Yes. If anybody is wondering, I like Haris Sultan. I don't have any issues with my personal dilemmas. I live my life using first principles. We can use our lives using first principles very easily, Poonam. I don't know what the issue is. Viruses are not a social construct. If we were, how I wish they were. Yeah, I admit Yogi Adityanath has been quite a revelation in this entire saga. Okay, Arjuna's Gandiva. If you can discuss a little bit about on your challenge subscription and Patreon benefit. Very simple, Arjun. We discuss books and ideas over there every week, once on either 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. It is announced on the Patreon post board. I cover a chapter of a particular book. I read excerpts from that book. I explain concepts of that book. We have discussions, detailed discussions about that book, and we go chapter after chapter. And that's what we do on Patreon. And if you want to join, you can go on patreon.com/Cārvāka and you can also join. Okay. ओपन लेटर, मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है ओपन लेटर कौन है. In the short run, yeah, it seems like it's going to work, but we never know about the long run, right? Libertarianism limits itself to negative rights for no reason, basically unjustified moral premises. How would a libertarian ethics take into account notions like moral responsibility? Are libertarian nahi, any utopia doesn't work, Baba, beyond a point. I am not a hardcore libertarian in that sense. I am a pragmatist. I believe the state has a role to play. I totally agree with the idea that libertarianism is a completely utopian idea. Beyond a point, it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that socialist ban jao na. वो point है. What is your favorite state in India apart from Punjab when it comes to rural infrastructure? Ugh. Phew. I don't know. I have to give it a thought. I can't give you an answer off the top of my head. Okay, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Have you read Black Buddha? I don't remember the name. किसने लिखी थी बताओगे तो शायद मुझे याद आ जाएगा. BJP in Rajasthan was right wing in economics and it lost. Well, I don't know if it lost because of that. उसके पहले भी तो हर 5 साल में सरकार चेंज होती रहती है, तभी तो राइट विंग इन इकोनॉमिक्स नहीं थे, तब क्यों हार गए? राजस्थान में तो हर 5 साल में सरकार चेंज हो जाती है. दिस इज अ पोस्ट हॉक रैशनलाइजेशन. आई डोंट एग्री विद इट. When do you think schools and colleges will open? Oh, I don't know, man. Maybe 4 or 5 months. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe 3 months. Do you have any plans to scale up? Look, I'll be very honest. When you say scale up, what define scaling up? How does one scale a podcast? All you can do is keep on producing content like I do all the time. I produce content regularly. Stick to it. Now, look, I've said this many times before. I know if I wanted to increase my subscriber limit, I can use catchy titles. I can make those short videos, 10 minutes, and comment on Arnab Goswami being tortured by Congress party for 12 hours and, rile everybody and get 80, 90,000 views. I don't want to do that. I do this because it makes me happy. I don't do this because I want to become Joe Rogan. I do it as long as it makes me happy. If that means my growth is slow, my growth is small, it is insignificant, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I will not do clickbait. I will stick to intellectual discussions. I will stick to certain standards. And people who stick in those frameworks can come and listen to me. People who don't like it are more than happy to listen to everything else. I'm not changing. I'm going to stick to what I'm doing and I don't need to scale up. The scaling up automatically happens. It will automatically happen. Look, you go to other YouTube channels, look at the amount of abuses they have in their live chats. I don't get that. And I don't want that kind of a crowd. I'm not interested in that kind of a crowd. I'm interested in quality viewership, quality people. I have a great time interacting with people on Patreon. We have good discussions. We create content there too. It is useful content. I much rather focus on that. I'm not interested in all the Dhrozka outrage. I'm not that channel. You come to my channel not for the day-to-day outrage. For that, you go to other channels. For my channel, you come for some intellectual stuff, where your mind is tickled, where your horizons are expanded, where you have to think. That's what my job is. Please do StreamYard sessions to answer doubts on Hinduism and philosophy. Well, it's very simple. That's what I think I'm going to do. I see if people have questions on Patreon, I always have this system. Anybody on Patreon, if they have a question, before I start the next session, the book reading session, I make it a point that I answer that question openly on the Patreon video so that even other patrons can benefit. Now, when I have this $3.99 membership on YouTube, I'll give the same thing for them. Whenever I have a discussion with them, they can, leave a message to me, those members. We can have an offline discussion. They can ask me questions. I'll give them answers. And I'll be very honest. Ask the patron supporters. Sometimes I don't know the answers. I'll be like, mujhe nahi pata. Give me time. I'll read about it and I'll give you an answer. It's as simple as that. But I can't do it just like that. I have a limited time frame and I have to value my time because I invest a lot on reading material, researching. So I have to value my own time. And if you don't value your time, people don't value you. नींबू मिर्ची पक्का किराने वाला पंजाबी बनिया. If Hinduism is pluralism, then why India shouldn't be a Hindu Rashtra? The question is not why India shouldn't be a Hindu Rashtra. The answer is India is already civilizationally a Hindu Rashtra. The question is, what is the governance model? The governance model is constitutional secularism. That's all the differences. हम already Hindu Rashtra हैं. मांगने की क्या जरूरत है? हैं already. आप मांग क्या रहे हो? Already है. I have no clue about this. Please do a podcast with open letter. It will be fun. और यार मेरे को पता नहीं वो बंदा. मैं उसका कंटेंट देखूंगा. Yeah, I know Jihan, but Joe Rogan does this full time. I don't. I have a proper business. I can't create short clips, edit, and who will do all that, man? Time is of essence. एक काम करो, जिसको करना है कर लो और वो बना के short clips डाल दो. मैं तुमको बना देता हूँ. तुम कर लो. मेरे से नहीं होगा. मेरे पास टाइम ही नहीं है बॉस. See, that I'm going to do behind the paywall. I'm dedicating so many hours behind the paywall. For one Patreon session, I have to spend hours thinking about one chapter. It's not just I read one chapter for 1 hour and I just discuss it on Patreon. I think so many aspects to that chapter and we bring in so many sides to that chapter. So I'm already doing that. Now, the more people join on Patreon, the more they get out of me. I'm not going to do it at a massive scale over here. Here, it's going to be one podcast a week at best. And I'm going to keep on doing that. I already do a deep dive, but that is behind in Patreon because you can't do a deep dive in an open place. It's just not happening. Do you plan to have a panel discussion when the BJP government completes the first year of its second term? Yeah, maybe. I've not thought about it. No. Most of Hinduism today is Advaita Vedanta. It's not Purva Mimamsa. Who told you that? Majority of Hindus are basically Vedantins, Advaitins. Do you think people should refrain from commenting on everything? How I wish people became like that. But nah, सबको सब कुछ बोलना है. Well, they already do counter work to Christian missionaries. What? ये क्या है? कुछ भी. Shambhav is a nice guy. क्या उसको expose करोगे? पागल लोग हैं. Thoughts on Aryan my invasion migration theory. यार monologue किया है, देख लो उसको. I've already done a monologue on it. So yeah, I don't need to add more. I've already done these things. You can go on the playlist. There is a monologues ka playlist. Just look it up. Everything is there. And if you like what is there and you want even detailed understanding of AIT, then you join the Patreon thing and just go, and there will be at least 30 hours of content already. At least 30 hours of content. You can watch it all. Binge watch it. Okay, I think I've covered all your questions. So it's already 1 hour and 34 minutes. So kafi samay ho gaya. As always, I've tried to answer all your questions. So once again, just reminding all of you, there are two options now if you want to support the channel. One is through YouTube. In YouTube, there are two options. There is the base level, and then there is the other level. In the other level, we will be having off the record chats where I will be answering a lot more questions in detail. That is one option. The other is Patreon. You can go on Patreon and you can support me there. There you will have the option of discussing books. Right now we are covering Aryan invasion, Aryan migration, and out of India theory in detail. We will be doing that, I think, most probably till the end of 2020, because to cover 7 or 8 books and 10 serious scientific papers, it takes that much time. I can guarantee you by the time you're done with all of this, you will know more about AIT, OIT, or AMT, whatever, more than most people. Most people, I can guarantee you that much. You will be that confident about that subject. So why Nepal is not in India, even we are the same. I don't know. Nehru said, let them be a separate state. So I don't know Harshvardhan. Anyways, so it's time to wrap things up, guys. As always, it was a pleasure talking to all of you. You guys are amazing. It's always fun to have a chat with you guys. Always remember, it's not manbhed, it's matbhed. I don't have manbhed with people. I only have matbhed with people. And as long as we can stick to that idea, disagreement is fine. We don't want to hate each other. And that's how I choose to live my life. And I hope you guys live your life that way. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all the support on the YouTube membership and the Patreon. I'll see you guys next month on another monologue where we'll talk about something which is interesting. Until then, namaste, goodbye, good night. See you next time.